All right, and welcome to another Spinato Spin here, specially for you to talk to you a little bit more about positive thinking, ways in which we can just get more out of life, more juice out of life. Isn't that what things are all about? Well, we're going to focus here on some basic thinking concepts. It's just some basic ideas. This is a copycat type of business. I'll just give you a little background where I got my information from, which I'm going to revolve my talk around tonight. Years ago, there was a guy by the name of Napoleon Hill. I talked to you about him, wrote the book Think and Grow Rich. Well, as a bridge from Napoleon Hill to the great Jim Rohn, who was another motivational speaker, was a guy named Earl Shoaff. And Earl Shoaff was one heck of a guy. He wound up passing away a little early because he had heart problems, but he was able to pass on a lot of ideas to Jim Rohn. And Jim Rohn, and if I'm speaking out of bounds here and you never heard of Jim Rohn, well, he's the guy that gave Tony Robbins a lot of information on how you can get going there. And now you might have heard of Tony Robbins. Most people have. Okay, so I think we got to the root of this, right? So really one of the main things that Earl Shoaff said, and it was a very powerful statement at the time when he said it, he said, you know what, the problem in America today is not so much that we're having problems communicating with people. Here's what we need to do. We have to spend time teaching kids not what to think, but how to think. You see, that's got a little different twist to it, doesn't it? Not what to think, but how to think. Because here's how it goes. The generations go by, don't they? You're not all on this earth here forever, right? We're only here for a moment of time, really, when you think about it. It's not so much that we tell people what to think. It's the game is to show them how to think. Here's one thing that he points out real quick, and I'll get right to it. He says you got to visualize. You got to see things happening in your mind before they actually happen. He says, what do you want? Think of something that you want. And the person says, well, I want a car. That's great. You give them an old beat-up car, don't you? No, what kind of car do you want? Define it. What color's the car? What's the interior? What kind of features is the car going to have on it? That's how you start thinking about getting a car. You got to crystallize it in your mind. You got to believe it. You got to believe it's going to be in your possession. And there's certain things you're going to wind up doing to take control of that. See, it's going to sink into your subconscious mind. He said, write it down, write down all the details you can, then write down thank you, and put the note away. And he said it'll start sinking into your subconscious mind. And that doesn't just matter with tangible items. That matters with intangible items. Maybe there's a certain relationship you want to get going with people. Maybe there's something you really want to do and really help a lot of people. Maybe you can visualize yourself helping other people. Okay, those are all things that allow you to have the power and the control of your mind. You got to be able to take control of your mind. That's what he's telling you to do. He's not saying just be a robot and tell people do this, do that, do this, do that, do this, do that. No, you got to teach them how to think. And that's one way how to think. Another way to think properly and clearly and understand is start talking to yourself in a positive way. Get rid of all that garbage. Get rid of all that negative stuff, all that negative thinking, stinking thinking as they call it. Get rid of it and start filling your mind with positive thoughts. My mind is orderly. My mind is orderly and well organized. I constantly choose what I think and always choose those thoughts which are the most positive and beneficial for me. That's how you think. You start thinking that way. It makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? You got to start thinking that you are in control of your thoughts. That goes a long way from what most people think, isn't it? Most people think somebody else controls what's going on in their life. They, oh, gee, if I only had a little more help over here and there. No. You point the fingers at yourself and you get things going. Here's the challenge, right? You got to take control of these things. You got to take control of what's going on in your life. You got to nail it down. We all got to start nailing down what we want. That's the challenge. Crystallize it. Define it. Believe it. Believe you're going to get it. Disney World, man, back in the day, I told this story before, I'll tell it again, it's worth telling again. Roy Disney, such a sad day when they opened up Disney what was it, Disney Park or whatever it was, the special resort area that Disney wanted to have. He passed away before it was actually put together. Roy Disney, oh, such a sad day. You know, everyone's all sad that Walt's not there to see it. Well, you know, Roy got up and said, hey, look, you know, that's Walt Disney's brother. He said, well, you know, I beg to differ with how a lot of people are thinking today. Do you realize that if my brother didn't see this in his mind, what this was going to look like, we never would have saw it. Think about that. We never would have saw it if it wasn't for his ability to vision it in his mind first. That's what you got to start thinking about. You got to start thinking about how you can challenge yourself to believe things before they happen. You know, the old Missouri, well, I'll believe it when I see it. No, 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 no. You'll see it, you'll believe it, or you'll never see it. That's the way you got to start thinking. That's the way we all have to start thinking. The world would be a lot different place, wouldn't it? Here's another one for you. Repetition, over and over. How do you think I just said what I said before about my mind is orderly and well organized? Constantly choose what I think and always choose those thoughts which are most positive and beneficial for me. How do you think I did that? Through that repetition, over and over and over and over. I said it. Start getting stuff in there. You know, an advertiser, how do they work on you? Huh? Well, how do they get you to start buying stuff? Over and over and over, you hear the stupid ad, right? Over and over, and you start thinking about it over and over. Next thing you know, you're buying it. You got to start buying yourself, right? We all got to start buying who we are, what we can do, and our unlimited opportunities we have out there. Here we go. How are we doing here time-wise? We got about another minute. Sell the dream. What does that mean? What's the dream? Well, the dream is that anyone can do it. The dream is that you could do something incredible with your life. I'm selling you the dream here, right? You're the opportunity. You're the chance that we all want, right? You're the one that's going to be making something happen. Sell the dream. You could do it. Sell the dream to somebody else. If you can't buy it and you don't believe it, try to sell it to somebody else and encourage them to let them know how good they are and how much they can do with their lives. The opportunity is unlimited. Always check our YouTube library. We have a whole bunch of stuff going on here, and I believe in you. It's always great talking to you, and we'll talk to you next time on the Spinato Spin. Take care, everybody.